Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We just wanted to do a quick Q&A about our experience. We've been in Albania now about 8 months. Social media has been going really well, so we've had a lot of questions about what our experience has been like and how we did this. So we just wanted to gather up all these questions that we keep hearing repeated and give you guys some answers. So here you go. What did you do for a living before you came? What are you doing for work and income now? I was in the music industry for most of my life. I was a professional drummer with live sound in there quite a bit too, probably pretty equal between the two, honestly. I owned a cover band that I was the band leader for a long time, and then just before I came for the last few years, I'd sold the band and I was working exclusively as a live sound engineer.
I was in real estate for about a decade before. Now I'm in the process of writing my first book.
Currently, we are basically living off of our savings and investments that we've been building for the last 10 or so years. Cost of living here was low enough that we were able to do that and it was sustainable, and that's why she's able to start working on writing and I've been able to work on social media. Are we Albanian? Why did you choose that country and city? Did you have any other places in mind? Which area would you recommend to other expats or nomads? We are not Albanian.
No, I sometimes get confused for being Albanian, but no background here or anything like that. It really boils down to the fact that we were able to come here for an entire year as a US citizen. So that was the big draw for us. We were looking at Portugal before that. Cost of living has gone up there, and path to residency has become a lot harder there.
Between the cost of living and the easy immigration process, that's why we ended up here. And then the city was just really pretty. We didn't know what part of the country that we wanted to end up in until we came and saw a few places, and we liked the city quite a bit. It's kind of the best of both worlds, where you have the sea on one side and then you have the mountains on the other. It's also super flat, so we don't have to deal with hills or anything, and that's very nice.
Yeah.
We didn't really have any other places in mind. Specifically, we were just trying to play it by ear, and this one immediately, as soon as we came here, we just felt like it was the one. As far as what we would recommend, I would suggest that you just see several different things, like make a list of maybe a few cities that offer some different things and get a taste of the variety before you make any choices that you can't change.
We narrowed it down to Tirana and Vlora as the cities that we were most interested in before we came, and then we did a test trip where we stayed for a week in each.
How did you do this? How difficult was the move? So the way that we did this is we literally sold everything that we own except for enough to fit in 4 suitcases and a backpack each. So I've put up some pictures before of what we brought. It's very, very little. We didn't send a shipping container or anything like that. We just got everything onto a plane and took it on our trip over here. Was it difficult? I mean, that's a really subjective question. Like, yeah, it wasn't easy. It's not gonna be for everybody. And even if you wanna do something like this, that's not the way that you have to do it. There's plenty of people that will get like a shipping container. It's very expensive, but some people have things that they really wanna bring with them. And there is the possibility of doing that if you go to the logistical links that you have to and you're willing to pay for it.
I'd say selling everything was probably one of the more difficult parts.
The actual act of selling stuff.
Yeah, like we had a crazy estate sale. We had 3 vehicles that we had to sell. So that, I think, is the toughest part of the process. Flying, I mean, it's a full day of travel if you're coming from the US. At least,
sometimes there's layovers and it'll take even longer than that.
Like an overnight layover. So it's tiring, but then when it's over, you did it, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah. How do you deal with the language gap? Do they speak English in Albania? Did you learn the language before you moved there? The language gap is absolutely present at all times, but the way that we usually think about this is anyone under the age of 30 here tends to speak English because we've been told that they started to teach English in the schools around the 90s, and so there's a lot of English here. That said, most people over the age of 30, it's very hit or miss, and more often than not, they do not speak English. Now, when that's the case, we've been able to use Google Translate quite a bit, and it's helped a lot. We've also recently started to try and use ChatGPT for that, which, interestingly enough, can translate better sometimes because it'll pick up on like the nuance, and there's less lost in translation.
Yeah,
so,
idioms.
Between the high English prevalence and then the technology, the language barrier is something that we have to deal with, but it's absolutely been manageable and a lot easier than I expected.
We did learn some basic phrases before we came, like hello, goodbye, please, thank you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we've been learning more since we've been here, but it's very, very manageable.
How do Albanians feel towards Americans? Is it diverse? So the reception of Americans here has been very, very warm and welcoming. I often feel like people are really happy and excited to meet me because I'm from the US. I'm a little worried about that sentiment changing because of some policy changes that have been happening recently. So hopefully they're not going to start to get upset with this very soon, but I'm worried that outlook might change.
We've gotten our fair share of hate comments on social media, which honestly, anything that you post about, anything that you do, if you have any sort of a following, you're going to get hate comments.
Right.
But we've also had so many welcoming comments,
Yeah.
and everyone that we've met in person has been very welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity, it's not as much of a melting pot as America is, or like other major cities around the world. There is some diversity here, but I'd say it's somewhat homogenous. I'd say a lot of people also dress the same.
Yeah, there's oh man.
Yeah, there's like a kind of an
all
Albanian
black,
uniform.
Black with,
like,
and if it's cold, it's a black puffer jacket. So if
For the
you're,
men,
yeah,
especially,
if
yeah.
you're coming here and you want to fit in, you wear a black wardrobe and have a puffer jacket. Is there much of an American expat community there? It seems like there's a very vibrant American expat community here, and it feels like it's growing pretty quickly, especially here in Vlora. I've been frequenting this coffee shop that's about 5 minutes from the apartment that is basically full of Americans every day, and it's English all day long. So it's really nice to have places like that. And I've got some expat friends in other countries, and I've been told that this is kind of a rare thing, so it's been really nice.
Yeah, the Facebook groups are also really active. So if you're looking to find a specific item, or you're looking to connect with like-minded people, I mean, there's a whole group on there just for people from the Pacific Northwest. Very active community, and I think a big part of that is because of the one-year American visa.
Definitely.
I've heard that other nearby countries that don't have the same policies do not have as active of an expat community.
How is the cost of living? What does your monthly budget look like there? So the cost of living is certainly lower than it is in the US. You will usually hear a budget between $1,000 to $2,000. The average apartment rental, you hear people renting everything from $250, which is really low. I've only heard that a time or two, all the way up to like, I mean, we've seen apartments for $1,000. It seems like people are hanging out in like the €300 to €500 range. It's usually what I'm hearing for apartments. So our experience with that is pretty limited. I'm sure there's a lot of variety there. What is shopping like? What is nightlife like? Is there live music? So we actually just came back from the store going shopping, and it's not the same. There are stores that are a little bit more like an American experience, and I mean, some ways that's not, I mean, you're trying to get away from that, right? We're here, but you might dig through the shelves a little more. It might be a little bit more in disarray. Maybe there's no AC in the store, and there's a changing room, and it's really small, and it gets hot in there. You know, there's a lot of like really small boutiques, for example, for clothes that you don't even necessarily want to go inside because it feels so cramped. So the shopping experience is going to be very different here.
He's had a hard time as a tall guy.
Yeah, I'm 6'4", so
a lot of Albanians are on the shorter side. I'm
Yeah.
5'2", so I have not had any problems with that.
Her clothes fit her
personally.
great too.
Yeah, I've been very satisfied with the clothes and home goods that I've been able to find here. It's not the same as being able to go on Amazon and buy whatever, like the exact thing that you want. But,
or even going into like Target. You know, like it's not going to be like that, but you can get your needs met.
But it's honestly slowed me down from like using retail therapy.
Yeah.
So I think that's a benefit in my opinion.
Yeah. As far as the nightlife, we haven't really gone out and experienced that. It's kind of over that, you know. Spent most of my life as a musician, so I'm kind of tired of bars. But there are definitely a lot of bars. We hear people going and they have a great time. There's karaoke. There's a little bit of live music that I've heard about, but I've only ever heard of like one place here in Vlora that has like a full band. There's several places that I've heard that are doing like a singer with a backing track, but there's not like a vibrant live music community that I've found here by any means.
And
now that said, in Tirana,
Yeah.
I've seen that there's more stuff.
And I've heard that here, there's not so much dancing in the clubs. Everyone's just kind of standing around talking, drinking.
Yeah, and I've heard that's kind of true of the Balkans generally. It's pretty uncommon to see like a vibrant dance floor on this side of the world, which is funny.
So maybe there's some places in Toronto where you can do that. But
Yeah, I would assume there's at least one. I would hope. Are there lots of jobs available? Can Americans get work in Albania? What businesses are missing from Albania? These are really complicated questions. Our real estate agent told us when we first bought our apartment that it's easy to get work. I'm sure, especially as an Albanian, she made the point that she could go into a cafe or a restaurant and get a job at any moment, and that any person could basically do that. But also, the minimum wage is €400 or €500, and it's really, really hard to live on that. So there is work here, I'm sure. It is legal. Americans can get work here, and you can use the job to justify a visa. But the most Americans that I talk to, it's something that they're interested in because the wage is so low that they can't really afford to live on it. Generally, when I meet expats or immigrants here, they're trying to make an income from another higher cost of living country stretch further here, and that's one of the reasons they're here in the first place.
they're almost always some sort of digital nomad working online.
Yeah, right. Or they own a business from the country that they're coming from, and it is providing them income, and they're just kind of like using that as a passive income.
Or retired.
Or retired, yeah. As far as businesses that are missing, especially with this growing expat community, I really think there's a lot of opportunity for things that are catering to Americans. Another thing that I've said is a rock climbing gym I think would go really well here because I haven't seen anything like that. Lots of gyms, but no bouldering or anything, and I feel like that would be kind of a relatively inexpensive thing that might work well because there's a lot of expats and travelers that come through that are looking for something like that. But I really have no idea, you know, it's go at your own risk for sure. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys had some of these questions answered, and if you have more, I would love to hear them. Please drop them in the comments, and I'm sure that we'll do this again. Anything you'd like to add?
No.
Awesome. Well,
I had fun. Let's do it again.
This was fun. Let's do it again. I love that.
Maybe you can interview me.
Awkward. I told her we just need to take the questions and we can just answer them, and we, you know, maybe we could just pretend we're being interviewed with my interview questions that I've been using. Let me know if you guys think that would be interesting. All right. If you like that, hang out and watch this one.